What's up everybody, welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Deadpool from the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure wave. And this Deadpool is based on his look from the early 90s or his first couple appearances when he was more of a serious character and he was like a villain for X-Force and Cable, and he was a lot less goofy than he is now. And I've always been a fan of that era of Deadpool, so I'm very happy to have this figure. And then I'm very happy to see that Hasbro did not disappoint with this guy. I really like this figure. He's one of my favorite Legends this year for sure. I'm sure he's going to be kind of hard to top. I don't have Cable yet, but I think Cable's going to be up there with him. For now, this is the only figure out of this wave that I have, but I'm very happy with it. So let's get right into it, starting with the packaging. Here's a look at Deadpool in the package. He does not come with a Build-A-Figure piece, so the packaging kind of looks empty. There is a Deadpool logo in the back, but it's kind of hard to see because it's just like gray with some white lines. I do wish that they kind of added some more color. This packaging would have looked a lot cooler if the background was red and black, but you know, maybe the figure would have got lost in all that color, but I think I'd prefer that to looking as plain as it does. But anyways, on the side of the packaging there's some pretty cool looking artwork, and then on the back you get a look at the figure itself and then a look at the other figures that it takes to build the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure. And this whole wave looks solid. I'm pretty excited about all these figures, including the Build-A-Figure. I think the one I'm kind of least excited about is the X-Force Deadpool, only because I'm not a big fan of them using that body on Deadpool. I kind of wish that they went with the body that they used for the 90s version, for the X-Force version. I think that would have been a bit better, but all the other characters look nice and I can't wait to find them. But yeah, let's get into the figure here, starting with his articulation. And for the articulation, everything's pretty familiar because we've seen them use this body before. It's the same body that they used on Sunfire, Spider-Man 2099 from the Sandman Build-A-Figure wave, and on Bullseye recently from the Netflix wave. And I like this body a lot. It's one of my favorite Marvel Legends bucks, and I think it works perfectly for Deadpool. But yeah, let's take a look here. So his head is able to move side to side. His head does sit kind of low on his neck, so it doesn't get any tilt to it or anything. As you can see, it's like very little. And then his head is able to move forward only to about there because he has like a collar right there and it kind of gets in the way. So that's about as far forward as his head can go. And then he could look up only to about there, again because of the collar, but that's removable if you'd like to take it off, and then you know, you get his head to go all the way back. And then for his torso, it's able to crunch forward about that much, and the harness doesn't really get in the way, but when you push it forward that much, it does kind of make it unlatch here in the back, but that's no big deal. Obviously you could just kind of put it back, and then he goes back to about there, and the articulation stops before the harness even gets in the way back here, so that's good. And then he has the waist swivel, and then his arms are on ball jointed shoulders, and they also have the butterfly joint, and that's awesome. This is probably the most popular thing about this body, is the fact that it has like really nice butterfly joints. They're very well hidden, especially with him, how the paint kind of, how his suit is designed. The black kind of goes right along there where the shoulder joint is, so it looks really good. And check that out, there's a really nice range of motion. And then obviously his arms could go all the way around, they could come out to the side. Then he has upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, a swivel and hinge at the wrist. And then for his legs, they could come out to the side till about there. You can't really get him to do the splits or anything. And then they could kick forward only to about there. I didn't realize how limited the range of motion was on this this body here for the legs, or for the hips anyways. It's not horrible or anything, but I'm surprised he can't do the splits and he can't get his leg to go any more forward than that. But not a big deal at all. And they kind of go back a little bit, only to about there. But then you have the upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees, lower leg swivel, and then his feet can go forward to about there. They come way up. This thing doesn't really get in the way, it kind of just slides out of the way, so you don't have to worry about that hindering his foot articulation. And then of course they have the rockers, so very nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this body, and I think it works perfectly for Deadpool. This is to me, it's a lot better than the Bucky Cat body. I know it's kind of going for a different thing. This is kind of more like an athletic build, but yeah, I don't know, I think this body works way better for Deadpool. And for accessories, pretty much the only things he comes with are his two katanas. And the katanas are okay. There isn't really anything special about them. They definitely look plastic. There isn't any kind of metallic paint to the blade or anything. It just looks like gray plastic, but they are unique to Deadpool. I don't think that we've seen these before, and they do fit nicely into Deadpool's sheaths, as you could see here. Check it out. They go right in, and then you don't have to worry about them falling out. So that's a huge plus. That's very nice. And then he is able to hold them pretty good. They don't feel too loose in there. He's able to hold on to them. And he has trigger finger hands, but he doesn't come with any guns. But yeah, his hands do hold the swords nicely, as you could see there. And that's it for the accessories, and that's pretty much the only downside to this figure. I really wish that he came with some more accessories. I know that this is like the 90s version of Deadpool, so you can't really include like goofy things, which are pretty popular with Deadpool figures, you know, but you're not going to really throw in a piece of pizza or a burrito or a chimichanga or any of that stuff with this version of Deadpool. But you definitely could have put in some machine guns or some grenades or something. That would have been awesome. But yeah, you know, the accessories, it is what it is. It's still an awesome figure. And for some size comparisons, here he is next to Marvel Legends Spider UK and Marvel Legends Wonder Man. And then here he is next to the Marvel Legends Ultimate Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And here he is next to Marvel Legends Wolverine and Marvel Legends Shatterstar. And then here he is alongside the DC Icons Green Lantern and DC Icons Flash. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Venom and Marvel Legends Jim Lee Cyclops. And here he is next to the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Beast and the Marvel Legends Warpath. And just to compare him with some of the more popular Deadpool Marvel Legends figures, here he is with the Deadpool from the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave and the old school classic Series 6 Deadpool. And out of the three, I'd have to say that the new one is my favorite. I'm not just saying that because he's new, but he really is awesome. Check him out. I think he looks the best. He has the best articulation. He has more articulation than this one. I've just never been a fan of this Deadpool. I don't know why. I don't mind this body or anything, but I was just never crazy about this. Maybe because there was a lot of hype around it, and I don't know, maybe it just killed it for me. I don't know what it was, but I just wasn't crazy about this guy. People were even mad at me that I didn't have him in my top 10 for that year. He's a cool figure and stuff, and like I said, I don't mind this body, but you know, sometimes figures just don't strike you in a certain way, and yeah, I don't know, I just wasn't crazy about him. But he did come with a lot of accessories, so that's pretty cool, and he does beat the new one in that department. But for the figure itself, this one is just a lot better in my opinion. It has articulation that works for Deadpool better, and I think he just looks cooler, and maybe I'm just more of a fan of this look for Deadpool. And then the look that they were going for here is kind of a little bit closer to what Toy Biz was going for in this with this version. I think that this version came out before we got the Deadpool that was just straight up a joke at this point. He was still kind of like a cool mercenary that liked to talk a lot, but he wasn't like, you know, riding unicorns and doing crazy stuff and always eating chimichangas and this and that. I'll always love this figure. It's one of my favorite figures in my collection. For a while there, it was really rare. Not so much anymore because there's, you know, now we have more options. There's so many Deadpool figures out. But for a minute, this was the only one out there, and I do love him. He's a really cool figure, but you know, he does look outdated, and the joints are really loose, as you could see here. He kind of just flops around and stuff like that. And yeah, I gotta say that the new one I think is gonna replace that. I just love this new one a lot, actually. Check him out. I love the way the colors are. He looks a lot brighter than both of these figures. And I do wish that the harness setup was a little more similar to this. I do like the grenades and stuff on here, and that he's able to hold a pistol. And another thing about the Series 6 Deadpool is that he came with guns that you could place on his sheath. This Deadpool came with no guns at all. But these guns do fit into his hands, and I'll take a look at that in just a minute here. But and check this out. Yeah, this figure's old. I've kind of just had him in a box somewhere. But so you can see his swords are all warped and stuff. But yeah, anyways. Like I said, I'll always love this figure, but this new Deadpool is definitely a big improvement. And just in case anyone's curious, you are able to use the unmasked head from the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure Wave Deadpool, but it does sit on here pretty tight, so you kind of want to be careful when you're moving it around. You may not want to force it. It might be a good idea to heat up the head a little bit before popping it on there. But the ball joint does fit inside of the head, and it does look kind of cool. It might be a little bit, I don't know, I want to say that it kind of sits a little high and makes his neck kind of look skinny. But if you pose it the right way, I think it'll work. And even though he doesn't come with any guns, his hands do have trigger fingers, so he's able to hold guns from other Marvel Legends figures. So here's a look at him holding the guns from the Series 6 Toy Biz Deadpool. And you know, if you just have any other kind of guns laying around, you know, he's able to hold all kinds of different guns. So it does kind of suck that he didn't come with guns himself, but it's cool that he's able to hold other guns from Marvel Legends. And I'm sure like everybody out there has piles of guns laying around from their various Marvel Legends figures. And in case anyone wanted to see, here's a look at him without his harness and his leg pouches. And I think he looks pretty cool, even just like this. And you could add your own harness and things like that if you want to change him up. But yeah, I think he looks kind of cool just like that. And as for the paint details and the sculpting on Deadpool, it has everything that he needs, but there's nothing really special or anything crazy to talk about. He's pretty much just that Sunfire body with the harness added on and, you know, a new head, obviously. But it looks good. Everything's done really clean. All the lines are pretty nice. There was a little bit of paint mess up there on where the black met the red, but I was able to kind of wipe it off and it was just fine. And I do think the harness looks nice and the belt looks nice, but I do wish that it had a paint wash because it's pretty much just gray. And that's one thing that the Toy Biz one had over this. For sure, you could see on the Toy Biz one, there's a lot of details and stuff on the harness, and that looks nice. And I think that would have taken this figure to the next level. That would have looked great on him. But other than that, I think it looks nice. You got pouches here on the legs that kind of just slide around. They aren't attached to him. But again, no real paint details. It's pretty much just you know, gray plastic, but it doesn't look horrible. And then you got these things down here and they kind of just slide around, very similar to the Jim Lee Cyclops, but they're not nearly as annoying right here because they're supposed to be down at his ankles, so it works out just fine. Like I said, all this paint is pretty clean. I saw two of them in stores and both of them had really nice paint, really clean paint anyways. And yeah, like I said, I'm a really big fan of this body. I love the way the butterfly shoulders work. They work really good without looking awkward at all. It looks very nice, and especially with the way the paint is here, it kind of lines up and works really good. And check out the harness on the back. Got some sculpted details, but nothing crazy. Got some rivets here or whatever you want to call them. Not sure what's up with the holes here, but they look just fine. And the head looks really nice too. It definitely captures that 90s Deadpool when he was more of like a, you know, just an adversary to Cable, or just kind of like a thorn in his side really. But doesn't have the mask thing on the back like some of the new Deadpools have. And it's not supposed to. I know some people have complained about that, but it's not supposed to have that, so it's all good. The paint on mine is really nice. You could see that the black doesn't quite fill in the sculpted details on the mask like it's supposed to, but I mean, you can't really tell. When it's zoomed in on camera here, of course you could tell, but you know, just looking at it, it doesn't catch your eye at all. But you could definitely, it looks very cool. This really reminds me of the Deadpool from the 90s, or like the Deadpool you'd see in the trading cards and all that cool stuff. But yeah, look at that. He looks cool, man. And like I said before, his little neck collar is loose, so you could take it off if you'd like. All you gotta do is pop his head off. But yeah, I love this figure, man. So overall, I'm very happy with this figure. I think they did a good job at capturing Deadpool's look from the early 90s when he was more of a villain and he was less goofy. I do wish that he came with some more accessories. I think it would have been cool and unique if he would have came with some like additional pouches or like an interchangeable harness, so you could kind of get different looks, because I know that, you know, he was always drawn different. He always had different pouch setups. I'm sure it'd be really hard to pinpoint like exactly what his pouches were back then, because it seemed like it was different, you know, issue to issue or whatever. But I think what we got here captures the general look and feel of it, so that's a good thing. But it would have been cool to have some interchangeable options when it comes to the pouches. It also would have been dope if he had more weapons. It kind of sucks that he only comes with the 2 katanas. I think it would have been nice if he had some extra hands. He's pretty much a plain figure. I know that they budget by wave or whatever, and it's kind of a big build-a-figure, and you know, you had Cable in there that had a bunch of accessories, and all the other characters came with accessories, so it kind of feels like Deadpool kind of got left in the dust in that department. But as for the figure itself, he's awesome. I'm super happy with it. I have no real big gripes with it at all. Yeah, he's just a really cool figure, so I'm very happy to have him. I can't wait to pick up the rest of the wave, especially Cable and Deathlock. And yeah, it seems like a really strong wave. Can't wait to Build-A-Figure too. That Sasquatch looks really nice. But yeah, so happy to have this Deadpool. I'm glad that we finally have like a more serious Deadpool. We haven't got one since probably, like, you know, the Series 6. And you know, the Mezco one's pretty serious. It doesn't have any kind of goofy accessories or anything like that. You know, the goofy thing with Deadpool is cool, but that's probably my least favorite incarnation of Deadpool, when he's like, you know, so insane that he's just like, I mean, of course it's a comic book, but I was gonna say he's almost like a cartoon character, you know. But I like Deadpool being a little bit more serious with just like a splash of comedy, and where he was just kind of insane and nobody knew what was going on with him. He was still funny and stuff like that, but he was also like a capable hero, villain, or anti-hero, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'm happy to have a more serious Deadpool for Marvel Legends. But I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite version of Deadpool is, what your favorite incarnation is. I'd have to say that my favorites are the Uncanny X-Force version, because he was capable and he was a good team member and stuff like that, but he was still funny and insane. And then I also really liked the Deadpool and Cable run. I think Deadpool was really cool in there, and I really liked his relationship with Cable. And then, of course, I like him as a villain for Cable too, but I'd have to say the Cable and Deadpool and the Uncanny X-Force are my two favorite versions of Deadpool. But yeah, let me know what your favorites are. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And thank you very much. Peace.
Deadpool rides unicorn.